Welcome to Known the Podcast. We're Brooke,
Hannah, and Mackenzie,
three friends whose goal is to go deeper into the Word
and to learn about the God that meets us in our everyday lives.
So let's sit, talk, and laugh together as we explore the extraordinary in the ordinary
and discover what it means to know God,
know ourselves,
and make Him known. Hey, hi, hello, and welcome to Known the Podcast. We are back with a very special guest, Mr. Mark Medley.
Woo!
Hey.
He's been on before as pastor, strengths coach, and Brooke's father-in-law.
Yep.
But today he is on as a shepherd.
Yeah,
You'll
right.
get that later.
A sheep and a shepherd, actually.
A sheep and a shepherd.
Yeah,
Wow, a real combo.
Mhm.
So we are bringing Mark on today to talk about his experience on a shepherd's walk and what it taught him about the heart of the Father. And so we've heard this before. It's very transformational and beneficial. And so I'm excited to hear it again. But before we get into all of that, let's give a little bit of our sheep background, if you will. What's your first thought, experience, a funny story or encounter you've had with a sheep in your life? A fun fact, even? Tell me about sheep.
I don't think I've ever had an encounter with a sheep outside of eating sheep's yogurt, which Mackenzie made me try.
It's delicious.
It
I
is
had
so
it for
good.
breakfast this morning.
So that's my experience with sheep. They make great yogurt,
Mhm.
delightful. Add a
Lovely.
little almond butter, little
Mhm.
maple syrup,
Some
little
blueberries.
fruit.
So good.
So good.
Yeah. I would say similar. Not many experiences or stories. I do love sheep's yogurt. And also one thing that we'll probably get into later, but one thing that's because like Hannah said, I've also heard this like one or two times before. And the thing that stuck out to me the most was like sheep only look like 1 or 2 feet in front of them. Like that's all they see. They just see like what's directly in front of them. And I think about that almost every day, at least once a week in my life of, I need to like make sure my gaze is fixed
Mm-hmm.
upon the Lord.
That's great.
So
Beautiful. Well, my first experience with sheep was something called mutton busting.
Oh.
Please, do tell.
Well, in my little town of North Carolina, my dad had a church, and on Sunday afternoons, we would go to this other thing called Cowboys for Christ. This is a very foggy childhood memory. I remember being in, like, what's it called? Not the rink. That's very hockey. The dirt.
like the rodeo.
yeah,
ring?
like a rodeo.
Yeah.
What
I think it is a ring.
is it?
With
A
the
ring?
G. Yeah.
Okay. You know, the dirt, it's a circle oval,
Mm-hmm.
And there were cowboys for Christ there, and they'd be riding, they'd be preaching the gospel from a horse. It was a whole thing, and it was great. But they also had this event called mutton bustin', which is where they would allow young boys to ride a sheep like a man would ride a bull.
Oh, no.
And the sheep would try and buck them off. And they would have
Interesting.
to hold on for the amount of seconds and all this.
Poor
And it was a bit of a competition. And those of you who know my family know where this story is going because I have an older brother. And his name is Jordan. And
Call
One of
him
his
out by name.
strengths is
his number one strength is
competition.
Now,
Mhm.
Jordan is not what I would call, especially as a child, he's very much toughened up in manhood. But as a child, I would not have put him in the cowboy category, except in our pretend play, which was cowboy heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Probably perhaps because of the Cowboys for Christ and Little House on the Prairie, equal influences, I would say. So Jordan was the top mutton buster in the area.
Wow.
He
Wow.
won. He had a trophy. But yeah, one of my first memories with sheep is just my brother, cowboy hat and all. holding on for dear life.
How old was he?
Oh, maybe 6.
Okay,
That makes
little.
it so
that's
much
amazing.
better.
Yeah.
I
That's so
remember
awesome.
it, but I don't think Levi was born. So I would have had to be 3 or 4.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But
I didn't know you had a mutton busting champion in your.
in the family. I know.
Wow.
It's one of our hidden skills.
What a lineage.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Can you imagine Hudson on a sheep? We need to make that happen. He'd be crushing it.
Well, I feel like I know you more, which is the point of the podcast.
There you
One
go.
of the points. This
I
is
think,
great.
yeah, I think everyone needed to know that.
Yeah.
Needed.
I needed to know that.
There you go.
Jordan, you will never live that down.
Yeah, this is true. Jordan's doomed.
Yeah. Okay, so tell us, I guess let's just jump into it. Would you tell us, what was this walk with the sheep called? I know it has like a specific name, and it was in a different country. So give us all the details, all the background.
Yeah, it was, and it was a little bit unexpected for me. But if I could start with the scripture, I'd love to.
Yeah.
In Psalm 95, 6 and 7.
Not where I
It's-
expected you to go when we're talking about sheep.
No, but I may go where you're thinking before we're done. But it says, "O come, let us worship and bow down. Let us kneel before the Lord our Maker. For he is our God, and we are the sheep. We are the people of his pasture, the sheep of his hand." So he is our God. We are the people of his pasture and the sheep of his hand. So there's this metaphor throughout Scripture of sheep and shepherd. It's kind of like one of the metaphors that we have, that God gives us, that helps explain from his perspective his relationship with us, how we walk with him. So, and so part of that, there's actually two metaphors I'm thinking about today. One is walk, because from the very beginning, the Lord speaks of our relationship with him as a walk, which is, I think, beautiful, because a walk is intimate. A walk is also a step and a step and a step. It's not, it's not a flight. It's not a drive. It's a one step at a time, a little progress at a time. It's an intentional keeping of your commitment to Jesus because of his commitment to you. Walk before me and be upright, he told Abraham, right? And then in Deuteronomy, he tells the people to walk in his ways. That the Lord's commanded you. In Psalm 84, no good thing will you withhold from those who walk before you. And then Galatians, walk in the Spirit, right? And then Ephesians says, walk worthy of your calling, walk in love, walk in light, walk in the Spirit, walk in wisdom. And John says, walk in truth. And we know Jesus taught his disciples by walking with them while he's walking in the way. So there's this slow, intentional journey, step by step progress that God gives us as a metaphor for our relationship with him. But then also there's this shepherd and sheep thing, right? So in Old Testament, very interesting. I was thinking this morning that he called sheep. He called shepherds. He called shepherds to be his leaders, right? I mean, before Moses could lead the people, he had to spend 40 years in a very hard place, doing very hard work, as a shepherd. Also, David was a shepherd. And so and Jesus, of course, is the good shepherd. So you see this picture of shepherd, God shepherding his people in the Old Testament. And it's manifested ultimately in Jesus calling himself, self-identifying as the good shepherd. And he tells us a lot about what that good shepherd is like too. If you look in there, John opens that up for us. So there's homework for everybody. Yeah. But so you see that walk and sheep or shepherd, that relationship thing. So those are really kind of consistent pictures in the scripture. But also the word shepherd is taken from the root word ra'ah, which is probably not how it's actually pronounced in here. But it's from the Hebrew word that means best friend.
Wow.
Oh.
Which is like so sweet.
That is so sweet.
And when you look at the shepherd, shepherds I was walking with, they're not thinking, they're not like overlords of the sheep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a power trip. It's not a control thing, although they do control it, the situation, but they really love the sheep. So the unique term for shepherd is rotzon, lover of the flock. So it's best friend / lover of the flock. So it's not just an administrator or an overseer. It's like a caring father figure tending to the needs. So what I saw on my trip, which I'll tell you about, is I saw in these shepherds who are really rough men. But I saw three things, and one thing is a heart, and the second is the eyes, and the three is the hands. But specifically, it was compassionate heart, from which everything else comes. They actually really care about the sheep. It's not just a business with them. They care about them, and from that compassionate heart comes the care. That's the basis of everything. But then there's also watchful eyes. They're looking. They're always looking. They don't sleep. Somebody's always up. Somebody, part of the team is always up watching. And then the hands, like skillful hands. So if you know you have somebody who has compassionate heart and watchful eyes and skillful hands, capable hands, you're pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Mhm.
So I was thinking about when Joseph was bringing Israel and his brothers to Egypt during the famine in order to care for them and give them food. They were put outside of like the main area because they were shepherds, and that was looked down upon in their area. And we see like Jacob taking care of the flocks, things like that. Do you think the analogy of sheep and shepherd was birthed out of the relationship that Abraham's family had with this, like their understanding as shepherds? Or do you think that it's kind of the other way around, of the Lord like created a way for them to be shepherds in order to understand his heart better?
It may be a little bit of both, because it's something that they can relate to because they're doing it.
Yeah.
I think when I think of David, when you think of Psalm 23, which is the obvious psalm, right?
Yeah.
I see David saying, "Wow, where did he write? We don't know when he wrote it, where he wrote it, but it could have been while he was, shepherding out there in the midst of the sheep with his instrument, and like this revelation. I care for these sheep, but I have a shepherd.
Yeah.
I have one that cares for me the same way that I care for these sheep. And so it's like a real tangible, when God relates to us through our everyday life a lot of times. And so I think that's part of it. But also I think it's an expression of his heart. I think this is the heart of God for his people, of caring. And he uses it so many times in the Old Testament, caring for his people like the shepherd over the sheep. So it's, I think for Abraham, for anybody in an agrarian society like that, it's like ultimately relatable.
Yeah.
But also it is like a real view into his heart.
Yeah. That's good. I feel like there's such a disconnect between that idea now versus like the time that we're living in, because we don't walk anywhere. We take a car, we take a plane, we take a bus, we ride a bike everywhere that we go. And it's just a good reminder that the Lord is calling us to be more at a slow pace and to walk with him.
Yeah. Was it Mackenzie? Did you, like last year or something, there was a like an intentional thing you decided to do about walking?
Yes. I wanted to walk more. So just in general, that was one of my ends for 2024 was just to walk and try to slow down, just try to focus my life. I read, and we talked about it in our book club episode, The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. And it really talks about unhurrying your life and slowing down so you can focus on what matters. And then I was also thinking a lot about how Jesus walked everywhere in the scriptures.
Mhm.
And if you think about the most important man to ever live on this earth,
Mhm.
he walked everywhere. He was
Mm.
never in a hurry. He knew exactly what he needed to be doing at every given time. He went away with the Father. And so I tried to implement just like walking, like prayer walks, things
Mhm.
like that. I did okay. I did better. Actually, I've done a lot better this year. Yeah, slowing down and walking. So you walked with the sheep.
I walked
You've
with
been
the sheep.
there.
Yeah. Hey, let me throw a book plug in there.
Okay.
While I'm at
Yeah.
it. One of my favorite authors is Mark Buchanan,
Okay.
and he wrote a book called God Walk, and it's really about exactly what you're talking about: slowing down and walking at the speed of God, basically, so that you can be more aware of Him and aware of people and aware of what's going on around you.
Yeah.
It's great, but it is the only book. I don't read generally. I don't listen. I listen to books. I listen to this one, and so I don't usually listen like at a higher speed because it just bugs me a little bit. I'm just one of those guys. But the guy who reads it, I think intentionally,
Yeah.
really reads slowly.
No.
So it's like
Mm-mm.
I had to like throw that one up on
Yeah.
1.5
That
at
feels
least.
like a personal attack. It's like, oh, you're impatient. Let's put it to the test.
Right. And it did reveal my impatience for sure.
He said, I
Yeah.
can't do it.
But I did walk with the sheep. And so every year in the mountains of South Poland, and I've been in Poland for the last few years quite a lot, near the south border with Slovakia, and also happens in many other places in the world. This centuries-long tradition is carried on still to this day. And it's where farmers in the area will like have small flocks, and they will together hire a shepherd or a shepherd family. It's usually a family to take their sheep on a journey from these valley lowlands up to the highlands, up over the mountains. It's very mountainous in Slovakia, and they will stay there all summer. So this is like an 8-month journey, basically. They go up in April or so, and they come back in October. March, they go up and come back in October. And they stay there, and they graze there, and it's beautiful up there, and it's quiet. So basically the whole point of the whole thing is, I mean, why wouldn't you just keep your sheep where you are in your little pens or your little yards? And why would you pay a shepherd all summer long to do that? Well, the reason is you go to the mountains because it's quiet. And it's like really tall, lush grass. And so they eat. And they make milk. And they produce cheese. And they smoke it. And they smoke the cheese, and that's what they sell, the smoked sheep cheese, which is high dollar. So it's money. But that's the reason that they hire these shepherds. So these are pretty, in the past, really important events, like culturally. So there would be like festivals and all these things. And the culture was really like there was music that was geared toward these things. Songs were written. There would be prayers. The priest would come in and pray a blessing over the sheep and the shepherd and all that. It was a big deal. And there would be a big like parade of the sheep up to the mountains, or they would leave the village in a big parade. And then the parade is there, and the festivities stop, because from that point on, it's hard work. It's tough. Okay. So this is, the particular walk that we went on. This is called a redyk in Polish. Redyk, R-E-D-Y-K, and a redyk just is a walk into the mountains with the sheep. So this one was 140 kilometers, which is not over 90 miles.
Wow.
Over 90 miles up. It's through from the valleys, over the hills, up over the top of snow-covered mountains into the next like highland, sort of a cove, or like a kind of like a Cades Cove if you're from the area here in East Tennessee, where it's like a big valley in the mountains, So that's where they're at, and they would be there for the whole summer. So,
and they walk the entire 90 miles.
Yeah, they walk the entire night in 6 days.
That's amazing. Wow.
with little bitty sheep legs. It is pretty. It's not easy. It's tough, and it's hard. It's like it's some of it's very beautiful. It's all very beautiful because it's mountains and it's gorgeous, but it's not easy, and especially for the sheep, it's hard. And then so there's a lot of things that you learn walking. So one of the things you learn is that the shepherd has to win the hearts of the sheep. Actually, that's what has to happen. So there's a 6-day journey. So there's a lady who's developed a relationship with these shepherds, and so she has convinced them to let people walk with them part of the journey. So you can't walk the whole thing. The first 2 days you can't walk because the shepherds are bringing the flocks. These were 200 sheep from 15 flocks. So, and these are different flocks, and they smell different. And this is a big deal for sheep. Smell is a big deal for sheep. They don't have much, but they got smell.
Yeah, it's a big deal to me too.
Oh, okay. It is bigger to some of us, isn't it? So you're with 15 flocks, and you're used to your flock. It's great, and you're used to your smell, but that flock smells differently, and it's like everything messes with the sheep. Okay, this is one of the first things you learn too, is that sheep don't like change. Okay, and so this is when you see this metaphor that God calls us sheep in the Bible, you start to understand why He does as you're with these sheep, because they don't like change at all. Anything that changes, like we're with these people, we don't know who these people are. Why are we outside of our little pen? We were comfortable. This was nice. What's going on here? Why are we walking? Why are we continuing to walk? Why are we walking up in these difficult places? Who is this man who's yelling at us, whistling at us, making noises at us? What is it? So the sheep are like that. The first couple of days, they're disoriented, and because things change, and there's obvious application, right? We are disoriented when things change. We get comfortable, even though where we are may not be the best place for us. So the Lord, our shepherd, is taking us somewhere else. He's breaking us out of that into a new day, a new realm, to where we can have better pastures and be more productive and live a better life. But it doesn't feel like a better life when you're changing. Transition is tough.
Yeah.
Transitions. I mean, this is like one of the hardest things. Going from one place to the next is hard.
Yeah. One thing that you've said recently when I've listened to you teach about the sheep is like the most nourishing food is in the darkest valleys. So when they're up at the top of the mountain and all the sheep are eating the luscious grass that they made that trip for, it's like the Lord is with us. There's the metaphor of just the Lord being with us in our darkest times, because that's where the most nourishing food is for our growth too.
Yeah. Part of the discomfort for the sheep was that they're going through these very difficult times, and there are some pictures and videos. I did this as a 2-part sermon series at Trinity, so maybe you want to link that or something, because people could see the pictures and the videos if they if they watch the sermons. Yeah, but the dark places, it's very interesting. When we talk to the shepherds, we ask them questions. So again, the first 2 days we can't walk with them, because what they're doing is establishing a relationship with the sheep. The sheep learn to hear the shepherd's voice, and the shepherd talks all the time. It's not always words. It's usually not words. It's little yells. It's little whistles. It's little sounds that he makes that they all mean different things. But the first 2 days, the sheep are reorienting, and the shepherd is making them into one flock. One of the things that he does is that they will take the sheep and they will allow the sheep dogs to run kind of around the outside of the flock and start the flock turning in it's always counterclockwise, looking from the top. So, and so they're turning around and around. As they're turning around and around in a circle like a blender, they're blending. They're blending, and so the different flocks are becoming one flock. And after a while, they actually start smelling like each other too, you know, so they develop their own scent, their own flock, which is a mixture of all the scents of the other flocks, I guess. But this is part of what the job of the sheep is, to be able to take those multiple sheep from different flocks, from different experiences, and make them into one flock. And it's beautiful, but that's part of it. And also hearing his voice. So what happens is the first 2 days, again, it's 90 miles in 6 days. So if you add that up, it's a lot of miles in a day.
Yeah.
The next to the last day, they sort of rest. They only go about 5 miles that day. And so it's less that day. So the other days you have to make it up. I think we traveled about 50 miles in 2 days with them.
Wow.
So, and it was not easy.
Ow.
It was a lot. But the first 2 days is reorienting into a flock and and the great thing is the sheep learn the shepherd's voice and the shepherd's heart, his desires, what he wants them to do in the first 2 days. That's why we're not available. We can't be there the first 2 days. It's really a shepherd sheep thing. And they're listening. They're learning what he means when he says this. Many of them have walked with the shepherd before, because the same flocks. They'll hire the same shepherd, but some of them have not walked with the shepherd, and some of them are brand new. They're lambs, so they have never walked.
First trip.
Yeah, first trip. So he has to kind of homogenize the group, and he has to speak so they hear his voice. So they learn to hear his voice as they're walking with him, which is beautiful.
Yeah,
it's really beautiful. This is
sounds
us too.
familiar.
Yeah,
yeah.
So that's the first day. Now the second, you were talking about, Mackenzie, you were talking about the dark places. So we joined on the third day. The first 2 days, they're establishing themselves as a unit, basically, and establishing a relationship. But the third day, we join and we mess everything up. we just blow it all out of the water because we're new, we're weird, we smell weird. There's 20 of us.
Oh wow,
That's a lot.
That's a lot. And so suddenly he's like, this is a big deal for the shepherds to allow us to do this because we mess up their little world, But it's great because what I saw that day is and I actually have 2 videos, one at the first part of the day and one at the end of the day. And both videos are the sheep crossing the stream, 2 different streams. And the first stream is right after we got there, the morning we got there, and the sheep are like disoriented and pushy and impatient and loud and hesitant and like not sure what to do as they're crossing the stream. And then by the end of the day, and that was really all our fault.
The shepherd's thrilled. He's like, I spent these 2 days doing so much, and here we're doing it again.
Yeah, we just totally undo it. But by the end of that day, I have another video. We're crossing another stream, and it's like a whole different flock. It's just like they're calm, they're patient, they're not pushing, they're very quiet. Like it's probably a 3 or 4 minute video, and you hear like maybe 1 or 2 little bleats of a sheep, and they're just like, okay, this is fine. We're crossing the stream. This is what we do. And the difference is from the morning to the evening is they heard the voice of the shepherd, and though everything was changing, and they were disoriented, the shepherd wasn't disoriented. He just kept walking. He kept talking and making his noises. And the sheep are basically like, if it's okay with the shepherd, I guess we're okay. And so they all just calmed. And it's the presence. And that's the thing. Voice is so important because voice equals presence. You don't have to even see your shepherd.
Yeah.
But if you can hear him, you're good.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
A lot of application.
Yeah.
Where does the shepherd walk amongst the sheep? Is he ahead or behind, or?
Yeah, that's interesting. It's actually it's both. It's both. Sometimes it's right in the middle. Sometimes it's behind. Sometimes he would let, and it's a family. There were three. It was a team of 3 shepherds, plus the shepherd's daughter went with us as well. So there's 3 of them plus the daughter, and the daughter was like 12 years old, and she walked the whole thing. I guess she's been doing it since she could walk.
Wow.
And she's actually like more of a man than most of us men who were on the trip. She walked all the way over the top. The last 2 days, they don't let us walk either because you're going over the top of the mountain, and it's snow covered, and it's treacherous, and it's steep, and it's like we're not
paying for your fall.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, what are you gonna do? Sue a shepherd? Well, what do they got? There's not much.
Cheese. You're suing for the cheese.
Yeah, all your cheese. All your smoked cheese. Yeah. So, but they don't want to have to shepherd us too, plus the sheep. So, but the middle 2 days, a big part of those 2 days were through these ravines, these woods, dark places, and it's not easy. It's hard. It's hard for us to walk, much less the sheep walk. And then we asked the shepherd, about that, about going through, because sometimes you're going through the dark places or the hard places when it seemed to me you could go that direction a little bit and catch a road and like walk up the road and get to the top of the hill and then get back over onto the this is my thinking. So why do you go through the hard places? And so his answer was it's a lot easier for everybody if you're out in the field and it's open and it's beautiful and pastoral and calm, but that's not the best food. And they really need to eat. They need to eat a lot. They have to eat. They graze along the way, but they have to really eat deeply 6 times every day on this trip, because it's a big trip. And all they're eting is grass. Yeah. I don't know what kind of protein is in grass, but
not
Not
imagine
very,
that much.
you have to eat a lot of it.
not calorically dense.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, to get up the hills, they need strength. So they have to spread them out and let them eat. But he said, we go through the dark places and the hard places because that's where the most nutrient dense food is. This is the best food, and we'll stop and let them graze for longer periods of time in these ravines because that's where they get the stuff they need to keep going on.
Wow,
that's really cool.
That's definitely an application. And I think any of us who understands, any of us who've gone through dark times, and difficult ravines of life, we realize that's the time we learned the lessons that were the deepest and that we needed to sustain us on the rest of our journey.
Yeah.
It's certainly been true with me.
Yeah, and it's so easy in those seasons to look over and see the road, and be like, well, Lord, I'm going that way. Like, why? This would be so much
plan.
easier. I don't need to eat. I don't need to learn anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's what you're going to talk about with the eyes of the shepherd too, of like, we have to trust and rest in the fact that the Lord knows us and loves us enough to do what's best for us, even when it's not what we want. I know like what you're saying, there's definitely been times in my life where I've been so frustrated by a circumstance, only then in hindsight to look back and see the faithfulness, kindness, and provision of the Lord in that season that I just had my head buried and was complaining about,
Yeah. And it was like, oh, that was exactly what I needed.
Thank you, Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And forgive me.
Yeah,
For
exactly.
being presumptuous and questioning your character and your wisdom.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, it is kind of funny. There was a few times on the trip I'm like, I'm no shepherd, but it seems like I just feel like that's a better way over there.
Based on my strengths, I feel like I can really help you.
Yeah. Let me give you some little advice. This shepherd family had been doing this for 50 years. This was the 50th year. The first year I walked with them was the 50th year.
Wow.
I walked 2 times in 1 year. You walk up with them in the spring and walk down with them in the fall. And I happened to be in Poland at both of those times at the right time, which is unusual. But 50 years they've been doing this. So his father's 2 brothers and another distant relative that were the main shepherds on this one, and their father had walked every year on this Reddick his whole life. He was a shepherd. He died the year before. He was 83 years old.
Wow.
He made that trip when he was 83 years old.
Wow.
That's a hard trip, man, over the mountains. But
Yeah.
so these people they're stout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're strong
Wow.
people.
Yeah. Would you do it again?
Oh, I'd do it in a second, in a heartbeat. If I can coordinate my schedule to be able to be there,
Mhm.
I'd love to do it. Yeah.
Wow.
And several of the people who I was with, and the people who invited me, had been on it before as well. It's like you have to do this.
Yeah.
Mm.
And one of the things that was interesting is that to understand, and this is for me as a shepherd of people, as a pastor, is understanding that the sheep don't belong to the shepherd.
Mm.
And I think we don't realize that a lot, even in the Bible. It's not, these are not, a lot of times these are people, I think, Moses may have been, at least at the beginning, he was caring for his father-in-law's sheep because he didn't have sheep, And David's caring for his dad's sheep, right? So maybe the family sheep, but a lot of times it's servants, they're not caring for sheep that are their own. So the sheep don't belong to the shepherd. They belong to someone else. And this is great for a pastor to understand that we don't, the sheep don't belong to us. Our flock aren't ours. Actually, they don't belong to us. We belong to them. Like Ephesians chapter 4 says that Jesus gave gifts to the church. Like he didn't give the church to the gifted people. He gave the gifted people to the church.
Yeah.
They are gifted people are gifts to the church to help build and strengthen and mature and unify the church. And so this is great. My parishioners are not mine. They belong to him. That also takes a lot of load off, the responsibility.
Yeah.
We are responsible to care for them. We're like under shepherds, sort of, which is what Peter would say. Peter says that, he talks about shepherding the flock that's in your care. So Peter understood that we have some kind of responsibility, to take care of it, but they don't belong to us. They belong to Jesus. He's the great shepherd. So.
Yeah, that's really good. What would you say is the most significant thing, most significant metaphor that stuck out to you the most? Would it be that, or would it be something different?
No, the metaphor that's most enduring to me is just the shepherd and the sheep relationship. It's so crazy because I don't think about that. I guess I was thinking of a shepherd as a function, like a vocation, like a calling or something like that, a job. But it's not. It's so much more. It's different. These guys, I walked with them up, and then I walked with them back 8 months later, and they're tough. These are not the kind of guys that you want to like get in a fight with because they will take you. And they're like mountain men. They're not. They're not wimpy. We were coming back down, and we were probably maybe 3 days away, 2 days away from the whole thing being over. And I'm looking in one of the shepherds named Stashek. I'm looking in Stashek's eyes, and he's a hard man, but I'm looking in his eyes, and there's something different in his eyes. Like he's like sort of tearing up.
Wow.
Walking these sheep back down because it's almost over, and he's developed this relationship for 8 months with them. And it's so crazy that they there was one time when we were coming back down, and we had stopped to eat. They stop sometimes to spread the sheep out and eat, and that's part of what you were saying before, Mackenzie. Like they only see a little bit in front of themselves, and this is so crazy because sheep are just really, really, really dumb. They're dumb and just completely defenseless. I mean, they got these pitiful little teeth. They can't really, they do bite, but they don't really,
not impressively.
They don't devour, you know what I mean? Yeah. Unless you're grassed and you're toast. But these little pitiful teeth. They have like hooves. They don't have claws. They're not fast.
Mm-hmm.
They're not, if they're alone, they're completely defenseless.
Mhm.
The flock is part of they don't have anything. If they without a shepherd, they don't have anything.
Yeah.
And they're not smart. They're just not smart at all. They really need somebody to help them out, and they need a shepherd and they need the flock. That's the two things they need. But they'll literally spread them out in a long line, and flank them out because sometimes if they're eating, if they want them to eat like a good meal,
Mhm.
they'll find the good grass and they'll spread them out so there's nothing in front of them. So because sheep only see what's right in front of them,
Mhm.
and they only know what's happening right now.
Yeah.
They're not thinking about the future. They're not thinking about the past. They're thinking about what's in front of them right this minute. And that's honestly,
Yeah.
we're sheep.
That's so good.
We're just
Yeah.
a lot of times we're just thinking all we see and all we're really affected by, we're moved by, and we're just like what's in front of us. And we don't have eyes, but we have a shepherd who has eyes,
Yeah.
which is great. Compassionate heart and watchful eyes and strong, capable hands. And so so they would spread them out. I was thinking they were spreading them out. This coming back down the mountain, and so they've been together for 8 months. And so it was part of the day when they're up in the fields grazing. It's a whole different. The day looks very different.
Mhm.
This journey is a journey, and you got to push to get there. And then the journey up and the journey down. But while they're up there, it's a different, like a routine. They get in a routine, and part of the routine is a certain part of the day. They all lay down, including the shepherds. They all lay down to rest. They'll eat, they'll lay down, the sheep chew their cud, and just like rest. So this was middle of the day, and they had just eaten, and they were all laying down and resting, and it was rest time, right?
Mhm.
In the routine, but it wasn't possible to rest because we had to keep going. So the shepherd just stands up and just makes his little noise that he makes, and the sheep, you could see they're like, "What?
It is nap time.
No, this is not what we do." And he just made the
Yeah.
little noise again, and I have a little 32-second video,
Mm.
and it took 32 seconds for those sheep to look, think it over, hear his voice, start to get up, and then all of them were up and moving behind him in 32 seconds.
Wow.
Even though it's not what normally happens in that time of the day, but they heard his voice. They're they didn't trust him. Like, okay,
Yeah.
we got to
Yeah.
go. I guess we got to go. Let's go. So my challenge is, what I want to do for my own life is I want to get to the point where when I hear the voice of my shepherd, I obey within 32 seconds
Yeah.
instead of 32 days or something.
32 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but it's the relationship. That's the most striking thing is what develops between this man and these sheep. And here's the reason, because it's not a vocation. It's a heart thing. Okay. Because we ask questions. One of the questions that we asked the shepherd was, why do you even do this? And because what is the economics of this really?
Yeah.
How much money do you make selling this smoked cheese? And there's probably other ways you could support your family.
Yeah.
Much more lucrative ways. Why do you do? And what are the economics of it? We were asking the question like good Westerners. Okay, well, tell me.
How can we capitalize this?
Yeah,
anymore?
exactly. Yeah. And you know what he said? Here's what he said. This was Tadic, one of the brothers. Tadic said, well, I made a decision years ago, and the decision was I'll never calculate. Because if I calculate, I may decide it's not worth it. And I love the sheep.
Wow.
So I decided I'll do what I love and the money will come.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Rest in
lessons
that.
from a shepherd.
Yeah.
That's great because he really loved the sheep.
Yeah.
And it's okay. And there's, something the EU is trying to do, European Union is trying to like change the way so many different traditions in different countries, because they're thinking more in terms of creating breeders instead of shepherds. So big farms, we need the sheep, but let's do it in a way where it's more feasible financially or more lucrative. And there's a way to like maximize the potential here and it takes what's really maximum out of the equation.
Right.
It takes the relationship out, and a breeder sees a sheep as a commodity, and a shepherd loves the sheep.
Yeah.
And so that's the difference. And I think as we were debriefing after both of the days that we were there, we would go back to the place we were staying, the 20 people I was with, and we would have conversation, So one of the things that we came up with is that this could be really technical. You could literally write a manual about how to deal with sheep, and anybody could come in, read the manual, and follow the directions, and get away with taking sheep up a mountain. But what we saw was in the hearts of these guys, the difference between that and a real shepherd is that a shepherd was about 20% technique and 80% heart. I mean, they really, really cared for the sheep. Yeah. And they were so funny because they would answer our questions, but they were playing with us, They were because we're outsiders, and they're their own little. I mean, mountain people are their own little clique, And so when we'd ask questions, they would play with us. And so one of the questions we asked was, "How many sheep do you have?" Right? And the answer he gave us was, "I don't know," which.
It seems like a kind of important thing to know.
I'd be counting heads.
Yeah, I feel like that's the wrong answer. And so because you're supposed to know, right? Like there's
right. Leave the 99.
Leave the 99. Go get the one because you know there's 100.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we have counted this, right? We count sheep because sheep count. That's the mega church mentality. I don't know. I shouldn't say that.
No, you should.
Okay. Yeah. But what he was saying, we were saying, that's a weird thing to say, At the same time, this was the same time that we were at the halfway point during the day. And so the lambs are too small to make the whole journey. They can't go 25 miles in a day. They're too small. So they have to take half of the lambs, separate them from their moms, put them in a vehicle, and drive them up to a halfway point where their trail crosses a road, and they wait for us to get there. And then they reunite the lambs with the moms, and then they take the other lambs and they put them in the truck. The lambs that have already walked halfway, they drive them up. So this is what has to happen with the lambs. And so we're doing that, and I didn't know what was going on. I don't know nothing, actually. So I'm just doing what I'm told. And so we're like rounding up these little lambs, and they had released the lambs back into the fold, and now they're rounding up the other lambs. But I thought they were just picking up lambs. So I'm just picking
random.
Up. Yeah, I'm like, okay, grab a lamb. And so I'm like grabbing a lamb, and the shepherd says, no, not that one. And okay, and I put it down and says, this one over here. So I grabbed that one, and that happened. And I'm trying, because I still don't know what's going on, right? And so, but what happened was the shepherd knew, and all these lambs look alike to me. I mean, there's only a few that have like a distinguishing physical mark or something. There was like 2 black sheep in the whole flock. And then
You're
the rest
like,
of them,
I got those ones.
those ones
Those
I know.
ones.
Those ones I know. But the rest of them look exactly alike. I can't tell the difference. But the shepherd knows them. He knew every one. He knew every one. He knew the ones that had walked and the ones that had not walked. And so he was saying, don't get that one. That one's already walked. And they were already back in the flock, like back. assimilated into the flock. And it's like, how can you tell?
Mm-hmm.
But he knows. Okay, and so at that point, this was his third day with those lambs.
Wow.
That's watchful eyes right there. That's
Mhm.
knowing your flock. He understood which ones were which, even the brand new ones. And so the lady who was leading our group challenged us to look to find a sheep on the first day, make a connection with the sheep, like somehow, I don't know, whatever.
However you connect with the
Find
sheep.
a soulmate with your sheep. Or I don't know what it is. And the next day, see if you can find that sheep. Okay. And, of course, there's 2 black ones. And I thought, that's too easy. I think I can do that.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at, so I picked a sheep out the first day. It was really funny. I was looking at the sheep. I was looking like deeply in the sheep's eyes. I was looking for the sheep soul or something. I don't know. And it's like, I'm thinking, okay, let me look. I'm looking at the ears. I'm looking at the jowls. I'm looking at the hind legs. I don't know. They all basically look alike, but I'm really trying to study the sheep. And then the next day I came back out and I was looking over. I could not find. I don't know which sheep it was. There's no way.
Wow.
So they do. They know
Wow.
every sheep.
Mm.
And later we had my friend Kasha, it was her and her husband Yatsik are the ones that invited me on this Reddick. And so they came. They sent me a picture, and it's a picture of a journal. It's a shepherd's journal, just a little book. Shepherd had written in Polish. He had written something about every sheep. So it was like the sheep, and then actually these sheep in this book had a name. There was a name, the name of the mother, because they know the mother of every sheep. They don't know the father, but they know the mother, and some kind of just if there's any kind of a characteristic about him that that need to write down. They had in his book, he had every sheep written down. That's the shepherd.
Wow.
It's not a breeder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A breeder doesn't care. Let's just raise them, sell them.
Mhm.
But a shepherd is 20% technique and 80% heart.
Wow.
That's beautiful.
Well, this is one of my favorite teachings that you do. So I was
Yeah.
so excited that you agreed to come on and do it. And
Can I
talk
tell you
with
one
us
more
about
story?
it. Yeah, please do.
Maybe this is a story that was the story that was most impactful.
Okay.
Maybe.
Yes.
And that was that, and it didn't happen while I was on the trip, but it happened when my friend Kasha was on it. The autumn before I went on my first Reddick, she was on that Reddick, and she was there and she saw this firsthand. So they were traveling, in up on one of the days of travel with the shepherds, and there was a sheep that was over to the side and just laying there, just kind of, I don't know, tired or sick or unable to go on, and just over to by itself. And a sheep outside the flock is a sheep no more, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because there are predators. And so the shepherd went over as obviously a distressed, sick, or something was wrong with this sheep. And so it was a little one, a smaller sheep. So he picked the sheep up, and the sheep was just wiggling and wriggling and trying its best to get out of his hands. I just don't want to. I don't want this. I just want to lay here.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like I just want to lay here and die. Basically, it seems like that's what it was. And so the shepherd held the sheep, turned the sheep's head toward his head, and made eye contact,
Mm-hmm.
and then pulled the sheep into his heart, into his chest, like this. So it was like chest on chest.
Yeah.
So that the sheep could feel the heartbeat of the shepherd.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened was, looking in the eyes and feeling the heartbeat of the shepherd, the sheep calmed and was okay. And then the shepherd could do what he needed to do to care for it.
Wow.
And that's like, okay, well, if there's ever a metaphor
Yeah.
for sheep and shepherd, that's it. Because sometimes we feel like giving up, or we are sick. You know,
Mhm.
Yeah.
we're hurt, or there's something going on inside of us, and we don't want anybody to mess with us.
Yeah.
But our shepherd gently, carefully, with watchful eyes, he sees us. With a compassionate heart, he comes over. With caring hands and able hands, he pulls us in. And we realize, when we know his heart, we realize we can trust his hands.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
whatever he does to us is for our good.
Mhm.
And he pulls us into his heart. And if we can look in his eyes, and if we can feel his heartbeat, that we can be revived for the journey.
Yeah. Praise God.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. Okay. Well, rest in that this week.
Yeah.
You are seen, you are known, you are held close by the shepherd. Yeah. Thank you, Mark, for coming on and talking about this.
I
with
love
us.
it.
Such
Thanks
a pleasure.
for asking me.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Thank you.
All right. As always, go read your Bible.
Go read your Bible.
Read your Bible.
Go read your Bible.
Bye.
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 Bye.